Welcome into Texans Today. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and coming up, I'm going to bring you the latest Texans injury news after Thursday practice, plus the keys to victory against the Cleveland Browns, a very pivotal game for your Houston Texans. But before we even get it started, I want to thank everybody who's joined me in this journey, building this channel up. We are the fastest growing Texans channel on YouTube. So for that, we're going to have a watch party this weekend on Sunday, Texans, Browns, and I just got to ask everybody before we get started, go down and predict the score. I know CJ more than likely is not going to play, so I'm still taking the Texans. F that. I'm still taking the Texans to win. Let me know your score prediction down below, and hey, if you get the score right, if you put your score prediction in before we go live this Sunday, and if you get it right at the end of the game, maybe a little prize coming your way. I don't know. You got to go put your score prediction down and then join me this Sunday for Texans Browns. Now, going into that injury report that the Texans put out this Thursday, still not looking good for CJ Stroud. Still dealing with those concussion symptoms. I know it was reported he still has sensitivity to light and sound, and then also he's dealing with headaches along with those concussion symptoms. So Texans playing the long game. You have a rookie quarterback who is the leader of the franchise, your franchise guy, hopefully for the next 5-10 years. So they're going to play it safe. CJ Stroud likely not going to play this weekend unless some miracle happens, but he did not practice at all this week, along with Will Anderson, still dealing with a high ankle sprain. He did not practice all week as well. He is doubtful to play. The Texans' third overall pick out of Alabama, Will Anderson, that pass rush duo, Jonathan Grenard, he's really hitting his stride. I really wish Will Anderson would be out there as well to kind of get after the quarterback. But in the long run, if we're able to keep Will Anderson healthy, and if the Texans are able to make the playoffs, that'll go miles if he's able to play in the Texans playoff games this year. Also, on the injury list is Blake Cashman. Blake Cashman, doubtful to play. The Texans, I was going to say the Texans' best linebacker, but after this week up against the Tennessee Titans, it looks like the Texans have nothing but stud linebackers. So this may be my least concerning injury for the Texans whenever it comes to guys who are not going to play, doubtful to play this weekend. Blake Cashman did not practice at all this week, but on the bright side, Denzel Perryman, Christian Harris looked amazing up against the Tennessee Titans. Now, somebody who did practice, who was limited today on Thursday, Jimmie Ward, he's dealing with that concussion that he suffered up against the Tennessee Titans this past weekend. He is in concussion protocol, but he was out there. He was out there at practice today after not practicing on Tuesday and Wednesday. Jimmie Ward back. Still questionable to return this Sunday, so looks like it'll be a game time decision to depend on whether or not Jimmie Ward is out there. But if he's not, we already saw Adrian Amos, the newly signed Texan from a couple weeks ago. He was the one who kind of stepped in for him up against the Titans. That's who will play this Sunday if Jimmie Ward is not able to go. Now, this next one's huge, and maybe the reason why you clicked into the video. Nico Collins, second straight day that he was at practice. He was limited, not a full participant, but Nico Collins on the right track to return. He had a calf injury early in the year, only sat out one game. Kind of the same timetable that they're looking at for this calf injury. Nico Collins easing his way back in. Going to be another guy on Sunday morning. If you're in the fantasy playoffs, I know I'm not. My fantasy team suck. Chip, I know you're in the fantasy playoffs, but my fantasy team sucked. But if you have Nico Collins, make sure you're looking at everything Sunday morning before the game, looking at all the latest news and reports, because Nico Collins is going to be another game time decision for the Houston Texans. Another guy who is on the right track to return, George Fant, a full participant for the second day this week. George Fant looks like he's going to be good to go this Sunday, but it begs the question, Charlie Heck played very well up against the Tennessee Titans. I know they don't have the most vaunted pass rush, but he looked good. Charlie Heck did in his first starting action for the Houston Texans at right tackle. Do they insert Fant in for Heck, or do they leave it and let it ride and maybe have George Fant as your swing tackle on that day in case anything does happen to Heck or, God forbid, Laramie Tunsil? That should be seen, but George Fant looks like he'll be able to go this Sunday. And coming up, I have the Texans' keys to victory up against the Cleveland Browns. I got the keys. But first, I got to show some love to a sponsor of today's show. The reason why the lights are on today It's because of Prize Picks. And they're giving you the best deal out there. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, it's the most fun I've had, winning up to 25 times my money this football season. You just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types is what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. And this is what they have so far for the projected stats for Mr. Joey Flacco this Sunday up against your Houston Texans. They have his pass yards at 244.5. What are we thinking? I know Flacco likes to air it out. The Browns have become sort of an air raid offense under Joe Flacco now. 55 years old? But he threw 340 last week. I don't know. I'm a little torn on this. I want to play with you, though. That sounded really weird. I want to play Prize Picks with you. So go down, give me more or less on the 244.5 pass yards for Joe Flacco. Just put the weigh-in back up. I want to ask him one more time. 244.5 pass yards for Joe Flacco. Are you going more or are you going less? Let me know down in the comment section. I want to play Prize Picks with you, and let me know what your projection is. Are you going more or less? Oh, wow. Wow, Chip, that was bad. Okay, coming up, the Texans' keys to victory. Please don't clip that if you're watching this video. The Texans' keys to victory. First, let's look at these offenses and defenses for the two squads. The Browns' offense and the Texans' defense. First, Browns' offense, 22.1 points per game, 330 yards per game, 31% on third down percentage, and a red zone efficiency of 53.9 and 30 turnovers. The Texans' defense, pretty comparable, allowing 21.1 points per game, 333 total yards, a third down percentage, you wish that was a little bit lower, of 38.9%. Red zone percentage, 54.6, and 20 turnovers forced. And as we go to the other side of the football, the Texans offense versus the Browns defense. The Texans offense averaging 21.9 points per game, 354 yards per game. And the Browns defense, 20.6 points per game, 261 total yards. Third down percentage, Texans really good, 38.9. Browns, 28.3 on defense for their third down percentage. And the Texans converting in the red zone 52.2% of the time and only 12 turnovers. I mean, obviously, C.J. Stroud has been fantastic not throwing interceptions this year. The turnovers, one of the best in the NFL. Now, my keys to victory after looking at all the stats for the offenses and defenses. First of all, attack the Browns defense. And I know what you're going to say. Those defensive statistics look good, Jeremy. Why are you going to say attack this Browns defense? Well, I did a little bit deeper digging on this Browns defense, and good thing the Texans are playing at home because the Browns defense has been caca whenever they're away from their home stadium. Look at the splits for this Browns defense. At home, only allowing 12.2 points per game. On the road, 26.5. I mean, a stark difference. Pass yards, a little bit over 1,000 pass yards allowed at home, over 1,400 away. 14 takeaways to only 11 away. And this is maybe the biggest difference. 30 sacks when the Browns have played at home so far, only 11 when they're on the road. And then that record, 7-1 at home, 2-4 away. The Texans, they got to take advantage. They're playing on their home turf. They really got to show out. I say attack the Browns defense. Bobby Slowik, be aggressive. Let Case Keenum maybe air it out a little bit, especially if Nico Collins is back there and he's able to, be the wide receiver one for this team. I say go ahead and attack this Browns defense, and especially with Devin Singletary as well. Really get after it. My second key to victory, no turnovers. Case Keenum, please. I know he had that great second half comeback, but Case Keenum, I about punched a hole in the wall. Not really, but I was just so upset whenever Case threw that interception up against the Tennessee Titans. That was a bad one. I don't know if it was on him or on the running back or a combination of the two, but he threw it directly to the Browns cornerback, Elijah Molden, and he took it to the house. So if you want to win this game, a pivotal game for the Houston Texans, you got to take care of the ball. No costly turnovers, no lazy plays, no just letting the ball go on a fumble. You really got to take care of the ball if you want to win this game if you're the Houston Texans. Number 3, you got to get Joe Flacco on the ground. You got to pressure the older quarterback. Obviously, his biggest setback at his age is his mobility. So if you just let him sit back and dissect your defense, it's not going to be a good day for this Texans team. And last week, the Bears were able to get a little bit of pressure on him. I know I said over 370 yards throwing the ball last week, but 3 interceptions and a fumble. They were really able to get after Flacco. The Browns barely escaping that game with a victory. If the Texans are really able to pressure Joe Flacco, make him uncomfortable, get him on the ground, hit him a couple times, I really think this Texans defense can show out just like they did last week up against the Tennessee Titans. And my last key to victory, protect your home. We saw the splits for the Browns defense home and away. The Texans playing better at home than they have been on the road, it seems, lately, which, actually, I don't know. That last game at Tennessee was, maybe one of their best defensive games of the year. But either way, we have to protect our home turf. It is basically a playoff game. It should be a playoff game environment. So I'm counting on you, the Texans fans. If you're there at NRG this Sunday, even if you're not, even if you're at home, if you're watching our watch party this Sunday, you got to get up. You got to get loud. You got to get rowdy for these Houston Texans because we're back, baby. We're in the hunt. We're right there. We are so close to the playoffs somewhere where we didn't even think we would be close to be at last year, the year before. If I told you, hey, this year, before this season, the Texans in week 16 are right there. They have a chance to make the AFC playoffs. You'd be like, wow, that's wild. And what if I told you this? The Texans, they still even have a chance to win the division, something nobody thought that would happen before the year. Hey, we got to show out. We got to get loud. We got to get rowdy for this team because I believe in this squad more than any Texans team I've seen in the past 10 years. I love what this Texans team is doing under DeMeco Ryans. The culture change between everything. The players, the coaching staff, even the fans is completely a 180 difference. So you got to get loud. You got to protect your home turf. Texans, let's ride. That's the end of today's video. If you want to follow me on Twitter, go ahead and do that at Jeremy Chuggs. I'm bringing you the latest Texans news and rumors, NFL rumors, news, NBA, the dankest memes on the internet. Go follow me at Jeremy Chuggs, as well as subscribe to the channel and be here this Sunday for our watch party at noon. Maybe a couple giveaways to give out. We're going to have a lot of fun. If you were there this past weekend for Titans-Texans, we had a blast. So I'm ready to do that again this weekend. Go down and hit that sub button or go to youtube.com/TexansTV and join Texans Today.